You about ready?
All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Otero County Commission meeting of Thursday, January 12th, 2023, first meeting of the year. I'd like to call this meeting to order and have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Markworth?
Here.
Commissioner Mather?
Here.
Commissioner Varela?
Here.
All right, if you'll all stand, we'll do the invocation. Father, we come before you today at the beginning of a new year and ask that you guide us in the direction that we take our county. Please bless all those that come to the meetings and all those that serve at the meetings, and let us all keep in mind that we are here to serve you. We ask for a special blessing for all those who serve in law enforcement and keep them safe as they strive to keep us all safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the Zs in Mexico, the Z is symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures.
Okay, we're ready for our sheriff's report.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Otero County Sheriff. For December of 2022, Otero County, excuse me, Sheriff's Office responded to 2,651 calls for service, generated 236 investigative reports, had 126 traffic citations issued, conducted 52 traffic crash investigations, resulting in 53 arrests, and we had 10 warrants or summonses to court issued. I'm just throw a couple of other numbers out to you right quick for the year of 2022, the entire year. Calls for service, 31,219. Reports, 2,658. Investigated 608 accidents. Results in 727 arrests, 32 summons and warrants, and a total of 1,564 citations issued for the year. Narcotics for December of 2022, one search warrant, had 2 arrests, 22 case reports, 2 vehicles seized, 1 firearm seized, 1 jail possession case, 1 checkpoint case. 733.5 grams of meth was seized, 1 gram of heroin was seized, 8.8 grams of cocaine, and 233 fentanyl pills. Total was about $77,739 worth of illegal narcotics.
Wow.
For the year 2022, I'll run through these real quick. 21 search warrants, 49 arrests, 14 agency assist, 215 reports generated, 29 checkpoint cases, 11 vehicles seized, 11 firearms seized, 3 burglaries solved, 24 fugitives arrested, 3 overdose investigations, and on those 3 overdose investigations, 2 of those we've actually working with our counterparts out of Las Cruces, and they have been, charges have been filed on 2 of those for homicide. 9 jail possession cases, 3.1 pounds of meth has been seized, 12.3 grams of heroin, 462 pounds of marijuana, 42.9 grams of cocaine, 1,483 fentanyl pills, and looking at about $675,000 worth of illegal narcotics. And special events, public relations for December of 22. We had 2 in December. We did the Christmas parade, and then we helped facilitate the first year of our Shop with the Cop program, which turned out really, really good. It was pretty fun. For the year, we attended 36 community relations and public relations events. Our training for December, we had a couple that we had to finish, make some makeups on our annual required training. And then we got 3 recruits, new recruits going through the pre-academy training. Our current manning is I have 2 deputies right now in the field training program. One just recently graduated the academy. The other one was a lateral transfer. He'll be in for about 4 weeks. The first one will be, he's got about 8 weeks to go. The second one, he's got 4 weeks to complete. I do have 3 deputies in the pre-academy program. They will go next week for their physical assessment at the academy. And then they will return on January 30th and start their 16-week academy. We do have a new community services officer. Well, she'll be starting on the 22nd of January. And we got a part-time dispatcher that's going to be starting shortly after that. With these 2 new hires, as soon as we get them on board, basically I'm going to be completely, fully staffed in all facets of the sheriff's office. I did receive some money from the state for law enforcement recruitment and retention. I think that's one of the items on agenda today. We get that approved. This will be an additional position where I can hire an additional deputy. Again, that would be funded by the state. I have 2 people waiting on a phone call. We get that approved, I can have them here probably in about 3 weeks working. Our vehicles, we have 6 new trucks over in the bay. I know we've kind of had them there for a while. We're waiting on radios. Those chip shortages and all that stuff we've been having problems with. We are waiting on 6 radios to get those upfitted and out on the road. And we're hoping by the end of the month those radios will be here. Yep, just waiting on those. So that's all I've got unless you have questions.
I do actually have a couple. I understand there was an arrest here the last few days of a man that had a bunch of firearms and some potential bomb material and stuff. Was there any intent with that bomb material for anything?
Not that we know of. Come to find out, we had received some information from an individual, probably 5-6 days prior to that. They were trying to confirm the information. Once they got it confirmed, that's when they had another reason to go to the house. Once they heard them, APD at the house, one of my narcotics guys called and, gave them some additional information, which turned out the pipe bombs and stuff. So we don't have any information that there was any intent to blow something up or something like that. It was just in possession, and so yeah, they took those out at DOD and stuff like that to come in and help them with removing those from the home.
And this was already a felon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Second thing that I have, Sheriff Black, is I drove around Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. I drove around Bowles Acres again. I understand that we have some of our issues on Rose Street and First Street. Rose Street is getting cleaned up some. So, but First Street is that's a disaster. There's an abandoned vehicle halfway out in the road. There's all kinds of trash and materials. I don't know if we're addressing that. Jacob and I have talked about it, but I don't know if it's got to you yet or if it's gotten to you yet.
I know on First Street, I have not done
Right on
anything on that. Rose Street, we've talked about. I kind of let
First
RB
Street is 1 block up from where you turn on Rose Street on First Street. You can't miss it. It's a lot with the mobile home sitting caddy corner, just almost on the lot lines. Like I say, this one vehicle, all the windows are busted in it. It's sitting out halfway out on the pavement.
Mm-hmm.
again, it's turning into a single lane situation again.
Right.
Even if they don't clean up the stuff, we need to at least get them to get that vehicle off the road. I don't know, maybe you might check on that.
And I've been kind of following an email thread with
Right.
Jacob and RB and stuff, kind of, I guess there's certain steps that we have to take. Right now, we're kind of in that beginning phase with, once we get to a certain point, that's when basically I would get involved if need be. But we're trying to take it step by step and see if we can get some cooperation with these property owners to get this stuff taken care of.
The one on Rose Street, they have those, where all those UTVs were, there's only 2 left now, so they've been moving them. So that side of the road is, the other side hasn't changed any, but that side has.
Right.
But this one issue is that at night, if somebody's driving down the road, that's going to be a safety issue.
Right.
And I understand the other process on the rest of that property, but for that vehicle sitting in the road is a safety
And
I've had-
the one on First Street.
on First Street.
Okay.
And I've had several emails about that. I mean, First Street is in the works, but
Right.
that one little issue with the road, or with
No,
the vehicle.
I'll have somebody go by and look at it. I mean, if it's blocking the roadway in any way like that, I mean, we can have it towed. It's just, let me look at it.
Yeah.
See what we can do.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you have anything?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Are we pursuing accrediting our sheriff's office and jail, or have we not done that yet?
We have started the process with the sheriff's office. I can't speak for the jail. You know, they had a program through the municipal league. We have created a different accreditation, and it's basically designed for sheriff's offices. We are one of 4 that have started the process. Hopefully within the next 6 months, we'll have our first site visit from the accreditation team. And that'll start the process, and it'll take about 2 years to get done. So it's my goal that I'll be accredited here in a couple of years.
Yep, good. And that, you said we created our own accreditation process. Does it still coincide with the Association of Counties so we can lower our insurance once it's accredited?
That's basically who we worked with. We had 4 law enforcement with New Mexico counties. I'm trying to remember her name. Greg Reese is one of them. I can't remember the other lady's name. But anyway, 2 members from New Mexico counties was on the board to design this accreditation program.
Good.
So
Okay.
they are on board with this.
Okay, good.
Hello?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Morning, Commissioners. Matt Clark, Emergency Services Director.
Good morning.
For December, codes opened up 56 new cases. 17 of them were solid waste, 16 weeds, tracked down an illegal dumping, and we had 22 illegal burns. Getting most of those down at Chaparral. They're just not calling to make sure that they can burn, and that would alleviate half of it. So we're getting down there educating them. Did close 25 of our cases, did 1 fire inspection and 2 fire investigations, and did a total of 42 follow-ups for the month. The fire departments responded to 212 calls for the month of December, 18 of them being fires and 154 being EMS services. We're working with magistrate judges to get support for the community service program, and also for code enforcement to work on citations, given the codes guys that ability to cite them directly into magistrate court, kind of like what the city is doing. So with that, I stand for questions.
Matt, I'm gonna ask you the same question that I asked Sheriff Black, just so you're aware and everybody that we are in tune on this, on the First Street, with the vehicle in the road in Bowles Acres. I know Jacob's aware of it. I just wanna make sure you're aware of it also and that we're working on this.
We are, and I'm having Jacob continually follow up as well, and he's coordinating with the sheriff's office as well.
Okay.
If it's stuff that we can't handle.
Yeah, the main thing, my concern, I mean, the whole place is a mess, but the vehicle in the road is my main concern right now. So,
You want to give us an update on that tower we were talking about earlier? Just kind of let everybody know
So-
what's going on.
Somewhere between the early morning hours of January, late evening hours of January 10th and early hours of January 11th, the communications tower up at the village compound, maintenance compound, blew over. It is in half. That's also the tower that houses 97.9, I believe it is, up in Cloudcroft, along with Cloudcroft Fire, Otero County Fire. So we're working to move over to another tower that's right there. We do not own that tower. American Tower does own that one. So getting off of it, getting onto another tower so we can get our communications up and running. We're coordinating with the state. They're aware of it as well, so we have their support if we need anything in the in-between time. But we're fairly confident we're going to be able to get over at least the county side up and running, hopefully by the end of today.
is that the same tower that the sheriff's department's on?
No,
Can we get on that tower with them?
possibly, but more than likely not enough coverage.
I don't know, I'm trying to think of whether there's any other towers up there that were,
Yeah, they're few and far between, and that was an ideal location because it looked right down the 82 corridor. So moving to the tower that's right next to it should still benefit us.
And hopefully by end of day, you said?
We're hopeful. Like I said, we've been in touch with the other tower owner. We're working on temporary lease agreements to at least get us over there so we're operational at full capacity again. For now, the only downside is we lost the lower 82 corridor. Benson and James Ridge will have to pick up the slack, so to speak, but communications will just be a little more challenging.
Commissioner?
There is a property that you know of that from previous meetings down the end of Sun Valley Road that does illegal dumping. I was wondering if you could arrange a meeting with the complainant next to them. You, myself, and with the Hazardous Waste Department of New Mexico. Here's their contact information. I feel like we've given them plenty of opportunities and everything to comply, and we just don't have enough bite with the county resources. So I'd like to bring them in. And it's very hard to get them to come down here to the rural areas. So if there's some way that we can go live on the phone, show them the situation or whatever it takes, then I'm willing to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Matt, when you contact those folks, you might also check in with the BLM because they're trying to work on the illegal dumping issues, trying to join forces with the county also, so whatever you get. I'm sure part of this property that the dumping is on BLM land also, so.
Okay. I will work on getting that all set up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, all right, thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Porter with Otero County Road Department.
Good morning.
So for the month of December, we had a few cattle guards get wiped out on Mesa that we had to go replace and repair. We did have to haul some material to Pinion Draw, Appler, Weed Road, and Weber Young Road. We did some major brush trimming along Fresno and La Bresita Canyon. We had 3 snow events to deal with, and the dirt excavation over on Appler. We're within a couple of days of being able to hand that over to the contractor to do the culverts and the road.
What happened to the cattle guards?
Nearest we can tell, somebody caught them with a trailer and ripped about a third of them out of the ground.
It's a pretty good yank.
Yeah.
So Tom, you and I both discussed this Becky Lane issue this morning. I was just wanting to ask RB if we ever made contact to the Bowles Acres, I don't know what they would call them, community.
Water department.
Yeah, on that retaining pond that had blowed out. If you could send them a letter just in response to that. Because we've all just about come to the conclusion that that blowout in that retaining pond is what's causing a lot of our problems in Bowles Acres.
How long does it take to fix one of those cattle guards?
It all depends on how bad the damage is. I'm sorry, I didn't see who was asking.
So if
Oh,
the
okay.
people don't, they want it, and nobody else wants it, they don't get done.
Well, no, the cattle guards are in the middle of a road, so they have to get fixed.
Why don't they fix them right away?
They did. There was 3 of them that got hit down there that we were out there the next day fixing them.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
I don't know if that's me making that static. No, I don't think it's me. Okay,
All right.
just paranoid.
Okay,
I don't have any questions.
okay, all right. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Good morning, Commissioners. Trent Parker, Project Manager.
Good morning.
First project I have is the detention center's wrapping up. They're completing all the final punch items. Most of it is complete. We're just waiting on a few electrical components to deliver so that they can install those. Those were incorporated in a final change order that we did. And so once they get that completed, we'll be pretty much wrapped up. The fire marshal came in and performed his final test on the alarm system yesterday, and it passed. So they're going to be seeking the final CO for the building. So should be wrapping up this week.
Yay.
And we're still waiting to receive the final closeout documents from the contractor so that we can close it out on the finance side of it. But they're saying that they should have those by the end of next week to us. Chin's Phase 3. We're still waiting on the DFA review and approval to be completed to release the funds so that we can go out for bid for the project. We're actively working on that and just hit a few snags and kind of a waiting game at this point. EOC, the project's almost complete. We were missing some electrical components, and it was determined that those may not even go into manufacture till the end of February. They had been ordered back in August, and we're kind of seeing this across the board on all projects, anything to do with electrical. And so we got back with the electrical engineer. They're going to do some revisions to some of the electrical plans, and we're going to just decide to utilize the power service that's there instead of doing the upgrade. It was determined in a meeting with the electrician and the electrical engineers and architects that would be sufficient for the project. So that should be a credit back to us for the new equipment, and should get us completed on that project a whole lot sooner, because that's holding up our access controls, our security, everything we can't do until that electrical is solved. So we're trying to get that one wrapped up and closed out so Matt and his crew can move into their new office facility. The PSAP project, we're off to a good start. In the past month, the contractor has mobilized to the project. The existing electrical and HVAC in the expansion areas that needed to be demoed, it's all complete. They're going back in with the rough end of the new HVAC. The plumbers came in and cut all the concrete that they needed to cut for the new plumbing. They're going to be installing that this upcoming week, and so it's off to a really good start on that project. We're looking forward to keeping that one moving right on along on schedule. The road shop building, we'll receive the shop drawings on January 27th for that job, and as soon as we get that, we'll put in for the permit, and then they can start putting in the foundation and order the building. So that one will be a pretty quick and easy. We should be done by about April, as there'll be a little bit of lead time on the manufactured building itself. But the courthouse roof and brick ceiling project that we did, it's all complete. They have a couple punch out items that they're going to be here next week for. They were going to come this Friday, but with the forecasted weather, they're going to hold off till next week, till it's a little bit better weather, to just patch some stucco and do some other little small detail work. The Flickinger Center restrooms, we're actively getting prices on that. I'm waiting on the third price. I should receive that by tomorrow, and then we can make a determination and move forward with scheduling with the facility of when we can get in there and get those restrooms remodeled. A new one that we just started working on is the Burrow Flats water storage tank. They received a grant for a 70,000 gallon water storage tank for the fire department, and working with the chief to get the geotechnical survey done so that we can send that to a civil engineer to get the foundation drawings created and stamped so that we can put in for a permit to get the foundation installed. And, that's about all I have.
That's a lot.
It's been pretty busy.
I talked to Ken McGinnis the other day, and I asked him if you would contact him, and he said no. He said that he'd love to work with you on
I met
these.
him over there yesterday.
Did you?
And he looked through it, and he said give him a couple days and he'd give me a price back.
Perfect.
Commissioner?
You were the only one I wasn't able to catch yesterday when I was touring the building. So just off the top of your head, what would it cost to knock this wall out, expand the room, and build a new DSS to accommodate 5 commissioners and add 2 more offices?
I
got
think that we've got
Yeah,
a,
we looked at that, and I believe off the top of my head, it wasn't to expand this wall, it was to expand into my current office and expand into the receiving room this direction. And just a quick assessment on it off of fair market analysis was $280,000.
Pamela, is there something, I know this is a historical building. I mean, can we add on to this building?
The back portion of the building is not the original building, but it is on the state registry, and I would want to do state approval just to make sure.
Okay. I knew it was historical, but I didn't know.
And where it
the
gets
rules.
expensive is this is a 2-story building. So all 4 of these walls are all support walls for a 2nd floor. So engineering to free span and open up an area, it takes a lot. It gets very expensive to change bearing walls to free span.
Commissioner Varela, this is an agenda item for the discussion. I have some information that I have gathered that I'll give you whenever we get to that.
Okay.
And it's got what he had proposed. It was a different option, but it'll kind of give you a little
Okay.
bit
Great.
of insight on what was discussed on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trent.
Trent.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Nina Sisler, Interim Director at the Otero County Detention Center. Today, our adult population is 174. In-house, I have 100. 82 in the overall are males and 18 females. 23 are at Otero Prison. 15 are at Hudspeth County. 13 at Donna Ana. 5 at Lincoln. 10 are out on furlough treatment facilities. And I have 1 for out-of-county court at Curry County. one at the Las Vegas, New Mexico mental health facility, and 2 are on furlough for other 60-day diagnostic, and another one for another reason. Our average daily population for December was 181. We have 4 juveniles in custody, 3 male, 1 female. They're all housed at Donna Ana County. Contraband introduced into the facility in December. We had a female new arrestee that tried to bring in over 80 pills of fentanyl, which was caught by my staff. Another male detainee attempts to bring methamphetamines in, and my staff was able to catch it during the searching process. December 27th, our property room system that was pre-construction was completed. It's nice, we just haven't moved the property back in to the nice system that we have now. In the month of December, we transported 11 males to the New Mexico Correctional Services Correctional Facility in Los Lunas. 9, today there was 9 taken as well. No females in December. Our inter-facility Google Meets court, because we do have a lot of court inter-facility. We had 31 municipal courts in December, 75 magistrate, 150 district, and 7 out-of-county courts that get arrested on warrants locally. We have a monthly meeting with Judge Schneider, which we did on January 10th for collaboration, be able to work together cooperatively in areas that we can improve on both sides, and keep communication open. We have 20, I had how many staff? 3 new staff. I have 2 more coming on board, so we're slowly, gradually getting staff back. I'm not where I need to be, so I'm gradually bringing people back from Donna Ana, because they're the most expensive housing right now. So I am gradually bringing people back. Once these 2 are on, if I get some more in, we will be at a way better level than we've been at in the whole past year. We're not where we need to be, by all means, but we're getting there. We're getting applications and we're getting interviews, so I'm very happy about that.
Why do you think that is, that they're applying now?
I think the referral is the referral bonus, and then the incentive there for the new person coming on, as well as the present staff, is really bringing a lot of staff on board. It is working, so.
So with the new staff you have and the ones coming in, when the new side of the detention center is fully where we can obtain it, occupy it and everything, are you going to be able to use any of it?
Not initially, no. I have to have a lot more staff come on board. I am almost at the level I was pre-COVID. So before staff started resigning due to COVID. So it's way better than it was, I feel. And I believe the more staff we get from referrals, the more they're going to refer. Even the gentleman I had an interview yesterday, and he said, I'm going to try to find people, who could do this job and try to refer them as well. But I am nowhere where I need to be. But I think it will get there.
Have you brought any of our prisoners back?
From Donna Ana, yes, it's my most expensive housing. So I am gradually, as I pick up over there, I'm bringing a couple back so that I can house them in our facility. There's my most expensive. If I have to, I'll move them to Hudspeth, which is least expensive to house. So, but they don't like anything in a high classification level. So I have to see who I can send over there first. So, like I said, I did have an interview yesterday, so I'm hoping that the 2 new ones will start in a couple weeks, which is a positive. And I am losing a new office specialist that we just hired full-time, but she's going to the state because they pay secretaries like $19 an hour. But I did have someone that I interviewed for the part-time office that was willing to do full-time. So it's like moving her. She hasn't started yet, but she will. So, any questions?
I'm just glad you're getting some people to come out and of
Yes.
interest. So-
Oh, yes, I'm very excited about it. So
Are you working towards becoming an accredited jail?
hopefully, once we have the staffing on board, I mean, right now, it's just, we're really picking up pieces and moving still places from the construction. But of course, once we get settled in from when they're all out, of course, yes.
And, you know, in 2015, Otero County Commissioners passed a Stepping Up resolution, which is to work for helping the mentally ill and everything. And nothing has happened since then. And I've been doing some research on where we need to pick that up at. And it seems like it all is the basis of then when you're checking in the inmate. How are we keeping that tracking system? Is it a validated tool that we'll be able to use whenever we want to move forward to this Stepping Up system?
So I have a discharge planner, and she works for a contract medical mental health provider that we have at the facility. She works with all the mentally ill competencies. She works with the courts as well. She works to get them into treatment. She works to treatment, mental health treatment, as well as addictive type treatment. She works with the courts and the public defender's office as well, and she tracks. I could call her at any time and ask her for a statistic on how many people come in with this, or as far as the medical mental health side. She oversees the telepsych in facility, and who may be on psychotropic medications in the facility, and she's very versed in her position. So if I needed to push that back. Any kind of statistical data that may be necessary, I'm sure that she or the counselor, one of the counselors in the facility would have.
So yesterday I got the email from the organization of what kind of stats that they need. Can I email that to you just to make sure that they're
Yes.
gathering the correct information?
Yes, ma'am.
And also part of the information that we need is how many were arrested from the sheriff's office, from municipal, from Thule, from Muscalero and all that. Do you keep track of that as well?
I'm sure that our JMS has a way to determine that.
Do we invoice those different municipalities for
Thule,
holding them?
yes, the city, yes, and I don't know if it's mine or mine, city, Alamogordo City, Thule, and Lincoln are the ones.
Is there a way that we can get that added to your monthly reports? How many came from Thule, how many from?
I think it is on the county managers, I believe.
That's not in that report.
Oh, it's not? Maybe I'm thinking another one. I do different ones. But we can find a way to
Great.
get it.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
You're welcome.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to the consent agenda items. So I can see this. Okay, consent agenda item 1, request approval of accounts payable bills list BL 21, 22, 23, and 24. Item number 2, request approval of healthcare assistance claims and disposition claims for January 2023. Number 3, request approval of November 1st, 2022 special meeting minutes. Number 4, request approval of November 15th, 2022 special meeting minutes. Number 5, request approval of December 8th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Number 6, request approval of December 21st, 2022 special meeting minutes. Number 7, request approval of resolution number 01-12-23/111-30 budget adjustments. Number 8, request approval of resolution number 01-12-23/111-31 and a grant agreement between Otero County and the Department of Finance and Administration in the amount of $281,250 to be utilized in accordance with the provisions of HB 68. Number 9, request approval of a grant agreement between Otero County and the Department of Finance and Administration in the amount of $112,000 for the purpose of installing a security system and public address system at the Otero County Fairgrounds. Number 10, request approval to submit Annual Public Employees Retirement Association of New Mexico reports for volunteer firefighters under the Volunteer Firefighter Retirement Act. Do I hear a motion to pass the consent agenda items?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we're going to move on to scheduled citizens' communication. Ms. Atkinson and Bulow. Are they here? Okay, well then I guess we will move on to Anthony Torres.
Amy, I'll go over that stuff with you a
Morning.
little later.
Okay,
Good morning. How much time do I have?
2 hours.
Because I'm a pastor, I'll do a sermon and altar call. So
I'm ready.
I'll just, I'll put a timer for 5 minutes if that's okay, because I'll be up here forever. First of all, thank you guys for just allowing me to be here today, and good morning. My name is Anthony Torres, and I pastor at Mountain View Church, and we've been here for 7 years now in this community. There's no secret that the shootings have gone up. There's no secret that overdoses have gone up. There's no secret that things have just really gotten bad in the Otero County. And I just wrote a book recently called Letters to My People, Thoughts of a Recovering Addict, and it's in all the prisons in New Mexico. It's in OCDC. And I thank God for the doors open. It's in Oregon, Florida, Pennsylvania. It's making its way. And what I have here are stacks of letters from inmates all throughout the United States from OCDC. And the book was not to shove religion down their throat. It was to tell them that there's hope and there's change in their life. And that's what these letters are. There's letters of men and women who have been doing time for a long time and they want change. But what I'm here today is to ask if we as a church can be able to do something. Because it's never about pushing our beliefs on anybody. It's about giving people hope. Every single one of you here all needed hope in your life. And it doesn't matter where people have come from or their background or even their crime. Everybody needs hope in their life somewhere. And I had an atheist yesterday approach me, and he said, "We just want to thank you for all the work that you guys are trying to do." That says something if an atheist approached you. And I have heard their cries and about how there's no chapel in OCDC. There's no programs for them. You know, there's nothing for them. And I get it. We've been short-staffed. I understand that. But I think somewhere we have to do something for them. And I don't know how long we have to be here. You know, whether it's another 2 years, another 5 years, I don't know how long. But somehow when we leave here, I want to know that we somehow contributed to some kind of change. And we don't like change. Change is hard, whether it's good or bad. But somewhere in there, we have to give these people an opportunity for some kind of change. And I'm asking if we as a church can get in there and just do one chapel a month, one chapel service a month. Whatever Sunday it is, we'll take it. I'm asking if we can do 2 classes a month for rehab, somewhere where we can get them some kind of hope. I'm asking that maybe sometime this year if we can do an outreach out there where we open up the rec yard and we're feeding them and we're having worship and we're giving them some hope. We've done a lot of funerals over the 7 years that I've been here, but there was one funeral one time that I had nothing but gangbangers in our church. And before the service, God said, "You let them know how much I love them. And you let them know that there's hope in their life." So what I did is I did an altar call in a funeral. And I had 14 gangbangers give their life to Jesus. Because what people are looking for today is hope. And this is stuff that you guys don't see, you know, in the news or anything like that. But I can tell you, because I've been working with a lot of people all these years, and there's people out there that are looking for hope. We kind of make a joke because our church is now we got probably 15% of our church is felons. Changed men and women that are contributing to society, that once were locked up, that once were said that they were never going to amount to nothing. And now we have people in our church that own their business, that are going back to college, because that's what life is about. It's about a second chance. We all deserve a second chance. I'm here today because I got that second chance. And I am thankful for the men and women that invested in my life, and thankful for God to allow me to see 13 years clean and sober. And so I come before you guys today to say we have to do something. We have to give people hope. We have to plant seeds somewhere in their lives. And so I'm coming to you today as a spiritual leader to say if you can give us access to the church, to the jail, one chapel a month. That's all we're asking, just once a month. We go in there and give them hope. 2 classes a month, whatever days it looks like, to do a rehab class, to see what their next step is, to get them goals and to see what direction they're going to go in. And possibly if that's not going to happen, maybe give us an outreach out there, somewhere where we can just somehow plant some seeds of hope. And I'm telling you, I don't believe Jesus is the answer. He's the only answer. And people are tired of their lives, and they're tired of the same old, same old. But you don't reach people by shoving Jesus down their throat. You reach people by loving them and letting them know that they're not alone, and letting them know that there is change and hope for their life. So I went over my minute. I'm so sorry. But I just come to you today and just say, please give us access to the jail. Yes, sir.
The detention officer or manager is right here. Can I bring her in and let you, maybe she can answer some of those questions if she has an idea on it?
Sure, absolutely, yes, sir.
Do you mind trying to, because you can probably explain a lot of these issues to him.
Well, first and foremost, interim director, Nina Sister again, safety and security of the facility is my priority. The staff safety, inmate safety, as well as any other contractor in the facility. Pardon?
Oh, I didn't see that chair, sorry.
Oh.
I was looking for your chair.
There's, right now, the short staffing, I have non-denominational church, Catholic church, all the churches that do come into the facility and have come into the facility for the past 25 years are not in the facility temporarily because of staffing. Everybody's safety and security is the utmost importance. And when pre-COVID, we did have GED, we did have AA, we did have, Mondays we do have pastoral visits, and we did bring pastoral visits back. So if you are a pastor of a church and you have individuals from your church, you can see so many unscheduled times. It's between 1 and 3 on Mondays in the afternoons because there are other operational procedures in the facility like medical, telepsych, med pass. There's many different things. And with short staffing at this time, we don't have any other programs coming in. We did have a life skills programs prior to COVID, a lot of things, but with staffing again, and I do have a lot of high classification detainees in our facility right now. So safety and security is of the utmost for me, and the liability.
Well, how can we help Pastor Torres to get some of this done? Is there any way to do an outside service to where, I mean, the inmates stay inside the fence and they're on the, I mean, I don't know. I want this to work. Because I'm with him. They need hope.
With the
And we need
Rec
to get them back into society and give them some hope.
And that's how we did do it when we had staffing. If I put anybody that's non-security in that rec yard, because there is no cinder block walls between, I have to have a security staff member there.
Even if I have to sign a waiver, because I'm a chaplain with the police department, I've done my training with the prison system to get into the prisons. And so, even if I have to sign a waiver, like, I'm okay with that. Like, I have their letters here. I have gained their respect and their trust, you know? And
Is
so-
the only way you can, and I know in person is 1,000% better, but can you Zoom? I mean, we all do that anymore. I mean, just to have some communication with them? I mean, I want to make this work.
will-
And I understand the short staffing, I understand the security, but we all need some Jesus right now. So I want to try to make this,
On Mondays,
anything we can do to make it work.
He can go to visit them on the pastoral visit time. Yeah, he's not reaching the full housing or things
Well,
like that.
maybe that would be a good start. Would you
I
want to
think it
start with
is.
that? And then as we get staffing on
Well,
board,
I
we can
have-
grow it?
I mean, I've done the pastoral visits through the glass.
Okay,
I'm talking of reaching them on a different level.
right.
You know, that's what I'm talking about. And no disrespect to you, I know you're just brand new, you got into this position, but since I've been here for 7 years, that I've heard that it's been a staffing issue. It's always been a staffing issue, you know? And so, even when I tried to come in, I think my second year here, the director at that time, her exact words to me, "Oh, it's just another religious program." That's not the way I see it. I don't see it just as another religious program. And so, I mean, here's the thing, if you give me a Zoom, I'll be okay with that, you know? But somewhere down the line, I would love to go in person. I would love to go in person, you know?
And I don't have a problem with that if I have the staffing. I mean, it is very dangerous. I had 3 staff assaulted yesterday, inadvertently, unpredictably, during feeding. I mean, and to put them, who's gonna respond if they did attack this young man? My staff, right? Or whoever, my medical contractor, and safety. I mean, I think he does have, I have a lot of respect for individuals that are trying to mentor individuals that are addicts and trying to change their life around. I've been in that jail for 24, starting my 24th year. So I've seen it as an officer and in my capacity, in my position.
I believe in my spirit that if we get chapeled in there, it will shift the atmosphere in your jail.
And I
And
understand.
you'll see assaults begin to go down. You'll see things begin to change. I truly, strongly believe that with all my heart, you know.
Okay, if you was to do a video deal, you would still have to have the same personnel. So at that point, why couldn't he come in and do one in person if he's doing smaller groups that are controllable for the staff that you have?
I have to have where the Wi-Fi is. The 3 laptops that we presently have are for court, with the 12th Judicial Court. And the rec yards, I don't even know if I can get Wi-Fi. There is 1 rec yard I can't use. The glass was shattered, so I can't use one. And the only indoor one that I do have, I don't know if I'll even get reception. There is very big issue with cell phone service and things in the facility now with expansion. So I would have to play around and see where the most feasible area would be to do that.
Well, this is gonna be by far way more productive if it's, if he's present than doing it over a video, because number one, you get bored, you don't even pay attention to it. I've had to sit through a lot of these meetings, and it's, you know, I do agree with him. I think that it's another form of counseling, if you want to call it that. It's some form of trying to connect with them. I understand we do have several rules and regulations, and it is to your best choice on what, but we need to try to help these people somehow.
And I'm okay with signing a waiver if I need to. I'm not worried about getting stabbed or beat up. I can promise you that. But I think that I've gained the respect with those men and women that, you know, they wouldn't do that. And again, I understand, yeah, people deal with mental stuff, but I really believe that something needs to happen to really shift the atmosphere in that jail. I really do. So, and I understand we're backs up against the wall because of staffing issues, but if I'm willing to sign a waiver, go in there and do I'm not talking 4 hours. Give me an hour, give me 30 minutes, where we just go in there and do a group setting with these men. The only thing that I would not feel comfortable in would be with the women. I would not want to be by myself with the women. That I would need an escort. I just don't see myself doing that. But with the men, I have no issues.
You mentioned that previously we had like GED programs and all of that. Was that in a classroom type setting?
Yes.
So we have the facility to do it already. We just need the staff. Is this something that if we had a time set, weekly, monthly, whatever your program is, that we could ask for a deputy to come and stand by?
You
I-
have to be very careful with it because who put them there?
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I get that, but this is very, Pastor Torres knows I'm very passionate about this.
I was open to entertain any ideas. I think there would probably be some logistics with that to talk about. I've got a few questions that I would need to first. About what this man does.
It would- Yep, you're amazing, and I want you in there by February. I want to get this done. So if we can get with the sheriff and set a schedule and see if we have the ability to do it. Staffing, hopefully we can hire, but I'm passionate. I want both of your programs in that jail
So
by
are we
February.
talking about just the rehab program or chapel?
Both.
Okay. Yeah. Because again, I'm just asking chapel once a month.
Mhm.
That just one Sunday a month. Rehab classes, just twice a month, somewhere where we're going in there planting seeds.
Mhm.
So,
So I think right now, if there's any way we can, if we take a little baby steps here, try to get eased into this, and hopefully we get some more hires. I don't know, this is a deal it's a lot up to you. So,
yeah.
I mean, none of us really understand exactly what goes on behind there. If you spend a few nights in there, you probably have a whole different aspect to it.
See, a lot of the times people think that I was a knucklehead my whole life, but I actually worked at Southern for 4 years before I started drinking and doing drugs. And so I was on the CERT team.
Yeah.
You know, when the inmates would act up, they'd call us and we'd go in there and get them out. I know what goes on in the prisons. I know what the correctional officers go through because I was one of them. So I'm very familiar what happens behind the walls.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
And I do not think a Sunday staffing I already short-staffed on the weekends. I have less staff. So if we were to arrange something, I would appreciate during the week.
Jesus is available every day.
He sure is.
So he doesn't have to
He
wait
sure
till
is.
Sunday.
So
He
I know,
sure
but
is.
I'm
Yeah.
just requesting that since,
Mhm.
I mean.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, and there's other issues, but.
We
yes,
don't
we'll
want to
have
make
work
your
on
life harder either. We want to make your life better. And
Wow.
hopefully with change in some of these men, it'll help the whole environment out there be better. That's our goal.
Do you have her information or contact?
No, sir, I do not.
Can you get him to where y'all can communicate and
Mhm.
maybe?
You could just call the regular jail number and I'm there Monday to Friday, so 8 to 5, so.
Can you come to our next commission meeting and report an update of what we're doing and what we need to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm in town, yes, ma'am.
And this isn't something that we vote on, but I mean, I feel like you have all three of our support in this. And if I can help in any way, I'll be glad to meet with you guys, whatever, because I really want to help move this forward.
Thank you, ma'am.
But I want to make your life easier too, because I know you've got a lot of stress with being understaffed. We don't want to pile on, but we want to make this work. So whatever we can do to get it done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for our unscheduled citizens communication, the first one is Jeannie Nichols.
Greetings. I have a rebuttal to,
Can you come up and speak into the microphone? So everybody at home can hear you.
hi, I'm Jeannie Nichols from Tularosa, and I was gonna have like a rebuttal to the wanting 5 commissioners as opposed to 3, and that really isn't needed. But I do want to thank you, Gerald Matherly, for your wonderful explanation. Yes, it was meeting before last, when you spelled out all the costs that it would be associated with having 5 commissioners instead of 3. I thought that was absolutely wonderful. I enjoyed it. It was good.
there's some information for you on what I did.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
So I'll go back to my seat now.
Donna Turnbull?
We didn't anticipate. $1.3 trillion.
Is that one of the bills from Santa Fe?
My name is Donna Turnbull, and by God's grace, I've lived in Otero County for almost all my life, since I was 7 years old, and my family has owned land and a home on the Penasco for 55 years, so I'm no stranger to the families up in our mountains. I wanted to give a short, did it go out, or am I not there? I wanted to give a short history, just a short lesson. Between 1905 and 1910, the original intent of the Forest Service was mapping forests, preventing wildfires, issuing permits and fees for cattle and sheep grazing, providing trail access, apprehending game poachers, preventing timber and grazing trespass and theft, and catching forest exploiters. A mandate to care for the watersheds was added later. The simple execution of the original 7 duties has currently turned into 1,663 pages, which this is less than that, of rules and bureaucratic regulations. 1,663, plus a library of supporting information. Originally, forest permits were designed to subsidize roads and schools. This is one of the reasons why the activities of the Forest Service impact every Otero County resident. Today, forest maps are adequate, permit fees are high, wildfire prevention is laughable. Look at the Three Rivers fiasco. Trail access has been limited. Game poaching is at an all-time high. Timber is unnaturally overprotected. And timber industry has been totally destroyed in my lifetime here. Cattle is the #1 enemy, and elk overpopulation is completely ignored. Finally, the 3- and 4-letter agencies and NGOs are now the forest trespassers and exploiters, treating taxpayers and landowners unfairly for the purpose of land grabbing in order to obtain the resources and water entirely for their own agenda. This is right in line with the United Nations Agenda 21, where, in a nutshell, individual liberties are incompatible with the global program for either socialism or communism. And thus, individual liberties become null and void. The patriots and landowners and ranchers expect Travis Mosley to show up and give a regular report at these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Don.
Barney Young?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Commissioners, you each felt you could contribute to the betterment of the county and ran for office. As elected officials, there are a myriad of issues to address, some of which are very controversial, and others just take the 3 B's to resolve, which is brains, backbones, and balls. Regarding our commissioners, the Committee for Clean Government has some suggestions and some possible solutions as well as comments. The economic stability of Otero County is dependent on a small tax base, considering that 88% of the county is federally owned. Landowners and allotment owners can be one and the same. These individuals have rights that are being trampled. both vocationally and locally, by usurpation through government entities directed by unelected bureaucrats throughout the country. Water rights are critical in the West. Water wars have been fought over trickles. Now they're fencing the cattle out because of a non-existent mouse. We recommend that you demand the Forest Service produce the mouse by April 1st, or remove all the fences. If there is a mouse, make them provide video proof with a sheriff's deputy and timestamps on the photos. These fences are cemented and welded in place, thereby destroying the very habitat that the New Mexico Game and Fish and U.S. Forest Service is claiming to preserve. In addition, environmentalists are imposing their collective wills and using lawfare against rightful landowners who pay taxes. We propose you do the right thing and demand the Forest Service remove those fences by April 1st. Who's paid for these fences? If the taxpayers of Otero County have borne the cost, it is an affront to our liberties and a colossal waste of taxpayer money. We recommend the commission holds the Forest Service feet to the fire, do their job as outlined in their marketing brochure, which states as a federal agency in service to the American people the Forest Service cares for, shared natural resources in ways that promote lasting economic, ecological, and social vitality. The elk herd must be managed and not allowed unfettered growth, which is currently destroying the habitat and the resources through overgrazing. That's being blamed on the cattle. Upon removal of these fences and immediate proper elk management, the Goss family should go back to 553 head of cattle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in agreement with that. Now time we do something about it. I wanna see the mouse too.
Gwenna, Reese?
I know you're glad to see this, right?
I've been missing you.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm
Good
Gwenna
morning.
Reese. I have two things to talk about. One is the ditch on just south of Pecos Road that has already been approved, and nothing is being done. The last meeting, it said about the water. They were checking the water coming off of what the state had done on Highway 5470. I have seen two crashes, I haven't actually seen the crash, but I have seen the, what has happened. One about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the car evidently was speeding pretty bad and hit that ditch, and you can just see the marks all over the highway and then where they went into the ditch. I don't know if the police were called on that or not. Yesterday, I went into Thule, and again, I saw marks on the road and where some sort of accident had happened. I think it's time that that bridge is put in and all the, just not doing anything about it. It's been approved for a long time. And you know that. So that's just my opinion, and I think it should get underway. Another is, there's a road, I'm not sure exactly what the, from La Luz south by the railroad track, would it be possible to put a road in there with all these long trains that we're having? And the traffic is really backing up to get across the railroad track. Would it be possible on that part of the land from the La Luz Road down to the bridge that goes across out of 5470, the bypass. I don't know if that could happen or not, but I've had several people asked if that would be possible.
That's a railroad. I mean, I know that they're hard to get crossings, you know. That would be, we'd have to work with
Well,
them
I
on
don't
that
know
for
how
sure.
much land that the railroad would have, because I know the railroad is very hard to do anything with.
Mm-hmm.
So could that be looked into by either the roads department or the someone that knows about the roads? Thank you.
Thank you, Gwenna. Kelly Goss?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kelly Goss, and I listened to the last commission meeting. Actually, I listened to it a couple of times. First, I want to thank Commissioner Marquardt and Commissioner Matherly for your questions and comments to Mr. Mosley from the Forest Service. I would like to address some of those comments made by Mr. Mosley. Mr. Mosley expressed some underlying concern with some of the letters and the memorandum of understanding in particular. He mentioned concerning language, phraseology, legal conundrums that exist relative to their existing policies, laws, and regulations. The Forest Service is good at ignoring the actual law and manipulating the actual law with their policies and regulations. Commissioner Matherly, you asked why the Forest Service and Mr. Mosley himself hadn't responded when the commission had sent letters. Actually, you asked him that question twice. He never answered your question. He made excuses and dodged your question. In my opinion, they didn't respond to the letters from the commission because the Forest Service is an out-of-control agency full of pompous, arrogant people who thumb their nose at anyone who doesn't fall in line with their agenda to take American private property. Commissioner Marquardt, you asked Mr. Mosley who determines the size of the exclosures. Mr. Mosley said, and I quote, "That's a district ranger decision. That delegated decision space, that would be Bob Foxworth." Mr. Foxworth wasn't even here until May. The size of the exclosures had to be decided well before that. I find it interesting how willing Mr. Mosley is to throw Mr. Foxworth under the bus, and it's not the first time I've seen it. As Mr. Mosley mentioned, there has been a lot of turnover with district rangers. I believe Mr. Foxworth has been brought in to put the final nail in the coffin to our business. Then Mr. Mosley asked to address the exclosures and the sizes. He stated that he didn't designate the critical habitat, that was the Fish and Wildlife Service. But the Forest Service does provide information to the Fish and Wildlife Service that resulted in the designation of that habitat. Mr. Mosley said that they can divert water, and there are ways to provide water. Through our lawsuit, the possibility of alternative water sources have been explored, and it has been determined that there are no alternative water options. The bottom line, our cattle have a right to drink from any water source on our allotment. Gaslighting was named the 2022 Word of the Year by Merriam-Webster. Gaslighting is the act or practice of grossly misleading someone, especially for their own advantage. It refers to trying to convince someone they're wrong about something even when they aren't. Disagreeing with someone or refusing to listen to their point of view. Lying, denying, and twisting reality to deceive and gain control. The Forest Service is attempting to gaslight this commission.
Sounds right.
Thank you, Kelly.
Another Biden agenda.
Mayor Payne, are you still here? Oh,
In full disclosure, I called Commissioner Marquardt this morning and told her I was gonna be here, so nobody was like shocked. And I wanna say first, I am not speaking for the city commission as a whole, or even the city of Alamogordo, because apparently I have to say those things. But I will say that I am here actually to support Pastor Torres and his comments. I think we've spoke about that before. I know I spoke to now Commissioner Varela, and I spoke to Vicki about it. I was not super encouraged by the conversation just now. I will tell you that I also am the executive director of Love Inc. of Otero County. We also teach classes. We've been very fortunate to be able to get into the Otero County Prison, and we've taught as many as 50, 60 ladies at a time. As Pastor Torres said, he's not comfortable teaching the men. I'm not teaching the women. I'm not comfortable teaching the men. Obviously, we stick with the women, but I would really encourage all of you to not let this go. As the mayor, I get calls all the time about the jail, and the biggest concern for parents is that while their children may have made a mistake, it's still their children, and they're sitting out there all day long doing absolutely nothing. And when you sit out there, and we can go back to COVID, when we were all locked down, how did we feel? We were still able to walk around our houses. We were still be able to go to the store. We had to wear the masks, and I'm not even going to get into that. But think about how we felt. Imagine how you feel if you make a mistake and you end up in jail and you have no hope and you have nothing to look forward to and you're just stuck. And I've had parents that have called me and said they're not letting even Bibles in there. And I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Obviously, I'm not inside there, but I do know that if they don't have something to look forward to, it's just going to get worse. They're just going to rebel. So if you're wondering why there's a problem with rebellion at the jail, maybe we need to take a better look at that. We have to give them something to look forward to. Not everybody is there because they're career criminals or because they're horrible people. Some of them have just made horrible mistakes, and I'll give you a quick example. We just talked about I heard mentioned earlier, they asked Sheriff Black about the gentleman on Arizona from this weekend. At one time, I actually attended Bible study with him, and he was a good man. And I don't know what happened. I can't tell you what happened. I know that he had a drug problem before that. He was in Bible study, and I think probably 9 months. We went to Bible study every week with him. So I know he has that capability of being a good person, and I'm sure he's got a lot of time to think about that now. But what kind of hope is he going to have if we don't give him that hope? So I would go even further and say, start out small, but allow something once a week. Allow them to have something to look forward to every week, because if they don't, it's just going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to new business. Okay, number 14, request approval of resolution number 01-12-23/111-32, appointment of viewers to assess North Spur Road for vacation. Do you want to speak to that, RB?
Yeah, this is a subdivision up in 16 Springs Canyon. It's a short little road in the subdivision that abuts the National Forest, and these property owners are having a lot of people come park on the road to access the forest, and they just want to make it a private road. It's not one that we maintain, so the process to do the vacation is first we pass this resolution, and then we appoint viewers. They go assess it, they'll come back and report to you, and then we vote on a resolution to vacate the road and make it private.
Okay. All right.
Don't we already have a group that goes and does those reviews for us?
I believe we're going to use members of the Planning Commission.
Which is what we've done in the past.
Right. Well, I know that you've gotten people that weren't on the planning commission to go up and do the review, because John went.
Yeah, because we were
I
shorthanded.
didn't know if we already had a little group that would do that.
I believe we have enough on the Planning Commission. They were going to, and we talked about it at the last Planning Commission meeting, so they're aware, and the property owner that's petitioning it actually came to the meeting and presented information.
Commissioner, any questions?
No, I'm just reading the resolution again.
Okay.
No, that's it.
Okay.
If it's a private road, does that mean nobody can go on it?
Just the
That's
property
what a
owners.
private road means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then why, they'd be parking out on the street again? What's the solution? That's not a solution.
Well, there's other places they can access the national forest
Do
that are
we-
public.
Does anybody tell them?
There's maps, there's the internet, there's information.
People need to hear it.
Well, I
There's a
mean,
lot of people that don't have internet, that don't use phones. How are you gonna do that? Like
well,
this.
this is just going to stop them from trespassing on private property to access the forest. They're,
Well, I understand that, but then there should be an access to the forest that they can get to,
there's many public accesses to the national forest.
where they wanna go.
Well, I mean, you can't access every aspect, every portion of the national forest if it's,
Just like the mouse, that's the whole thing.
Or be the property behind, at the end of North Spur Road, is that forest or is that private property behind? Tom, are you
it's
looking at
forest.
that?
It's forest.
At the end, it's forest.
At the end of North, at the end of that road is forest on the other side?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Commissioner?
Nope, I'm just looking at the map right here, and I'm just assuming it's this entire road from one side of the map almost to the other side of that map, is what we're talking about?
It's the little road.
It's a little road off of that.
It's right here on the very end, Amy, right up here,
Okay,
that one.
okay.
Yeah, next, between 224 and 225.
She does have a good point on the access. That is, I'm kind of a little familiar with that area, but that's the only road that you can go through to get to the forest in that little particular area. But isn't it illegal to park on in the easement of the road?
Mhm.
So they can't, unless you get dropped off to get in there,
Unless
you can't
they-
even go in there to park.
Unless they get permission
Right.
from the property owners.
How do you do that?
Knock on the door.
That's going to their property too. Same thing.
Well, you can temporarily do that, and you can go to anyone's
I don't
house.
think
They
that's a
they can
solution.
chase you away with a shotgun too.
There you go.
So this is the property owners requesting for this road to be
It-
made private?
It is.
And is it all of the property owners that are in agreement, or one?
They've submitted letters, so the surrounding property owners are in agreement.
There should be a solution to this problem.
I tend to
And I think
lean
somebody
towards,
should look into it.
I tend to lean towards what the property owners want.
This road right
But
what we're talking about.
do we have
That little
any
road?
other access
Yes.
for people to use?
In this area,
No, why
See, behind that.
I mean, it's a subdivision that's next to the
Yeah.
forest. It's,
So you come in, this is 16 Springs.
So what is this
Come up to
road that goes from
But
one
you
end
can't
to
park
the
on
other?
that is
Yeah, and
16
that's where they're
Spring
parking right now.
Canyon Road.
And I'm sure that's what the landowners are griping about.
And if they just stay on 16 Springs, they have plenty of access.
We had this similar case on, right up off of West Side Road. I'm trying to remember the name of the road. Where they were coming in and parking and trying to access into the forest, and it was blocking the road and stuff like that. And we ended up closing those roads, if I remember right, didn't we?
And how did that go? I mean, you put no parking signs out and all of that kind of stuff, and how was it received by the people that use that road?
They put a gate or something, didn't they? That just the landowners had it was just an access, that they had access to that property or to that road if they needed to get to the back of their property or whatever. But it was a similar deal. I don't know the status on the two property owners on each side of the road, what their gripes are on this, but that particular case was because all these people were coming in and going across the properties.
So we have to do this because we approved back when, I don't know what
When
year,
the subdivision was
1970,
when the subdivision was accepted,
the county approved it.
and
But it's not a maintained road, we don't maintain
we
the
don't
road.
maintain it, but
But since we approved the subdivision plat, then that's why we have to do this.
Yes.
That's this step.
But we do maintain it, don't we, Tom?
Not North Spur.
But the other one, the letter's so little I can't even read it.
I know, it's tiny.
West Spur Road or something?
I gave up trying.
I don't believe West
Well,
Spur Road is maintained
We
either.
do part of it until you hit the North Spur, and that's where we stop.
Big old wall,
Excuse me?
big old wall. I wonder what the people would say if they knew they couldn't access this or get to where they want to go, that they used to go. What do the people say?
Where are the letters that were sent in as submission with this?
I have a set of them in the office.
In the future, can you just include that kind of stuff?
Sure.
So we can review that? Thank you.
Commissioner? The section they're wanting to do is this one section right here. Comes off of North Spur, and that actually goes down to one of the service roads.
And that's an accessible road?
Yeah, this, we maintain it right up to this intersection here, but they're wanting to abandon or to be made private is this stretch right here.
But even if you abandon that, you can still access all the forests coming from this side, right?
Yeah. That is your only entrance onto this loop right here.
Oh, so you're shutting off all these forest roads?
Yep.
Okay. That's a whole different light on it.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is just to appoint the viewers, so it's not approving the vacation. So next meeting, if the viewers have accomplished their viewing, and they come back to report to you, you'll have more information with which to consider whether you want to vacate it or not.
Well, the viewers need to make sure they see that picture he's looking at right there.
Well, we'll go up.
Yeah, see what they're wanting to vacate is this road here,
Mhm.
and that accesses this Forest 10 Jeep trail right in here. So, just so we know.
My county, the spam call. Supposed to be silent, sorry.
So if we appoint the viewers, we'll go up and collect more information and have a better presentation of information on what the situation on the ground is.
So today we would just be approving the viewers to go up and,
Yes.
okay, that's probably not a bad idea, I'm gonna have a little more information. Okay, any more questions, Commissioner? No?
Do we need to approve that?
Yeah. Okay, so I make a motion to approve resolution 0-12-23/111-32, appointment of viewers to assess North Spur Road for vacation.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll let the viewers view. Number 15, request approval of RFP 2023-008, operation of the Otero County Detention Center. Cynthia, did you want to speak to that?
Cynthia Caroli, purchasing agent. The evaluation committee recommends not to approve the award of the RFP. So, I don't know if you have any questions.
Commissioner Brinkley, legal
Okay.
We evaluated this, it was the only proposal we received. In that proposal, we would still provide county vehicles to them until they see fit. They wanted the sheriff's department to provide transport. They also asked the sheriff's department to provide, at our cost, training. In addition, this was a substantial increase to our budget to do this. So the real problem was that substantial increase in funding for them to do this, what were we actually going to get? And then what was a red flag for me, I think for the whole board, is they listed a reference in there as managing one of the other county's facilities in the state. I stepped out and called the county manager there. They had never heard of them, and also said that they manage their own facility. No one does it for them. So there were several things that we just didn't feel comfortable with it. And in speaking with the director out there now, seeing that we're getting more staff, that maybe we can get ball rolling and do this ourselves again.
Okay. All right.
Thank
No
you.
questions? Anything?
No questions. That was easy.
Yeah, that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I make a motion for the approval of RFP 2023-008, Operation the Otero County Detention Center. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, get a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Make a motion to not approve it, correct?
Well,
We're going to vote on the approval of it. That's how it's wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Did
So
you voted to approve
in
it?
favor of not approving.
The way it's wrote up is request approval of that.
And then-
So if we're not
No.
wanting to approve
Okay,
it.
Do
mine
the
is a
opposite.
nay.
Yeah,
Okay.
all three nays. Okay, number 16, request approval to send a letter to the New Mexico State Game Commission regarding the elk population.
I've asked RB to write a letter up on this. This is it's a big issue, Ian. It's a really big issue to all the ranchers up there. The game department knows they have a problem. They actually, well, the superintendent has actually admitted to me that he knows that they have a problem. They had a plan they proposed to the people at a meeting with the people voted it down. Come to find out, as usual, we're a day late and a dollar short. They already did the planning in 21? 22.
This past summer.
So they do it every 4 years, but we have still drafted a letter to send to them, requesting them to reduce the elk population in 34. That's our main part of our county, so it'll be interesting to see what they come back with or if they say anything. Kelly?
In that letter, does it reference I think it's the 2004 EIS, where alternative B, they determined that they were going to reduce it to 1,000 head, and that's
That number is the number that the superintendent has told me that they're supposed to be, is the 1,000. He says they're at 10,000 plus right now. So I know there's gonna be a lot of the hunters and stuff that's not gonna be real happy with this, but what they have to understand also, if you let the herd get overpopulated, you get an inbreed deal going down and you're gonna reduce the quality of the animals also. So this will also be helping on the quality part too. I'm looking through this real quick, and I don't see that in there.
I didn't reference that. I wasn't aware of that EIS stating that. So I didn't include that. They did, as part of their planning, determine that there needed to be a 19% increase in tags from what it is. But didn't state a number on the exact amount of elk that should be on the unit.
I can send you that just in case there's any follow-up letters or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Sure.
Gordon Stanford, I'm from Mayhill, and I've been up there all my life. My grandkids are the 6th generation to be raised up there. Dale Hall come to Mayhill. He's with the game department, and he put together a depredation committee. And it was 2 ranchers, 2 Forest Service, 2 BLM, all the hunters, 2 hunters. Everybody had their say-so in these meetings, and we'd go behind closed doors because the hunters were mad at the ranchers, and the ranchers were mad at the game department, and everybody was mad at everybody, and nothing was getting done. So we formed these depredation committees, and things smoothed out. The ranchers started getting hay. They had volunteer help from the Forest Service just to help make this work. I've worked with the Forest Service for years on special use permits. It will work, but we got to make it work. It's not going to just happen like this, to where they go squashing the gosses to make room for themselves. That's not the way it goes. And if they'd put that depredation committee back, we got so much done with that committee, and it was good. We could go behind closed doors, have our meetings, come to an agreement, and take it to the public.
Why
And
did it stop?
I'll have to look. When they stopped it, I got a plaque in the mail thanking me for my service, and that's how we got stopped. No explanation, no. And we spent years doing this. Dale Hall come down here several years and helped line us out. You know, we had a short-term program. We had a long-term program. We're going to do this for now, but for later, this is our main goal, you see. And it worked. And to sit back and watch all this negativity, it should be positive. We can make this work if we will. And that's what I don't get. I come down to these meetings, I go to the clock off meetings, and it's just not the same. You know me, Vicki.
I do know you, Marvin.
Thank you.
Can you look into that?
Um,
Can you look into a program like that?
We can check into it. John Paul?
My name's John Paul Barella. What about looking at it in the view of public safety? If you look at the sheriff's office crash reports and state police crash reports to what is causing more crashes up in the mountains, you know, just the numbers.
Right.
Because we do a lot of towing, and yes, I do like the business, but I would say that more than 80% of the crashes we're doing up there have got to do with hitting elk, not deer, not horses. You know, they're there, but what about public safety? You know, as a tool.
I checked those stats.
Yeah.
There are some of those stats. I referenced the safety issue. I didn't use the stats. They weren't as compelling as I would have liked, so I just left them out. I think they're actually I think the stats that I found were 2014 to 2018. And over that 4-year period, there were more deer than elk crashes, actually, at least according to the New Mexico DOT stats.
Did that also have with Mescalero? Because I know it's the same herds. I know you have different jurisdictions.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But in this letter, John Paul, it is mentioned on the road traffic hazards and safety and stuff like that too. So it's hit on it, but it's not given the stats and the true numbers up to date.
Because I know my driver has gone up there, and I end up trying to find out where he's at, and we track him. I'm like, he's not moving. And he says because he can't even get to the accident scene because of the herds are so thick. You know, and taking an hour and a half.
Well, I know at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, it is a hazard to drive on that road up there.
When the sun comes up and the sun goes down, it's the worst.
That's true.
Can we offer a solution in this letter, saying we can put a committee together? Hopefully he'd be willing to serve on that committee to work with the Forest Department in developing this plan, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 kind of thing?
We could propose that. Who initiated the depredation committee in the past? Was it from the New Mexico Game Commission?
Started by the Game Fish Department, they said Dale Hall down here, and they had four of them, there was one in each corner of the state. Mayo was where they put the basic group together. they voted on the members, you know, the ranchers, game department, Forest Service, they were all there. We all agreed or disagreed and worked out the problem, you know, hey, we'll buy the books to do whatever they were. You don't have to step on the ranchers. It's so sad to watch. I'm known the golf. I'm related to the golf. It's so sad to watch that go down like this.
You know, well, Mr. Sanford, we went to a meeting that the Gosses put on in Upper Car Canyon pasture. The Forest Service was there. The Forest Service is not trying to participate in this at all. They had a pasture up there that they hadn't had any cows on from the previous September. Am I correct, Kelly? When we went in there, there was more grass right here than there was on that pasture, and it was solid elk droppings.
We got so many elk, and it needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
You can't do it when the game department manages a checkbook. Anybody that's a hunter, and anybody's been paying attention, that's all it is. It's not nothing else. They do their surveys out of an airplane or a helicopter.
Mhm.
How can you count deer in the trees out of a helicopter or an airplane? You can't. That's not how you do it. But that's what they just throw. And then nobody keeps meeting, they go to the game fish department meeting. Everybody sits there like they're in church, they won't say nothing. But people need to stand up and defend what we got, because we're losing it day by day.
Amen. Amen.
It's sad. So sad.
Did you want to say something, Kelly?
I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the Goss family is not against hunting. I actually have a brother who's an outfitter, so we're not against hunting. But, you know, in the past, we've sent a elk bill, is what we call it, to the Department of Game and Fish, showing the expenses and the expenses incurred by us and what it does to our livelihood. And that's pretty substantial. I don't have that amount off the top of my head. But there is case law that affords and allows the Forest Service to do something about the elk, because I will provide that to RB as well. But they always say that they throw their hands up and say they can't do anything about it. But again, I want to make sure everybody understands we're not against hunting, but there's got to be something done about the problem, because there are too many elk. And I wanted to invite you guys to our annual operating instructions meeting. It is February the 16th at 10:30, and I'm sure elk will be part of that discussion, and for RB as well. And you might be, and I might be told by the Forest Service that you're not allowed to come, but that's an infringement on your right, and I believe your duty to learn what the actions of the Forest Service are doing to your constituents. We would like to have, especially Vicki, because she is our commissioner, but we would like to invite the rest of you and RB as well.
Where is
Thank
this
you.
at, Kelly?
It is in Cloudcroft at the district.
Okay. The Forest
office,
Service.
Forest Service building.
The date again?
The 16th.
Yeah.
Of February.
Well, we can't have all of you, sorry. They limit the numbers anyway, so, sorry.
I'd like to add to that, you know, you were talking about Indians and elk and all the different herds. The Indians put their elk in here first, and they asked the game department if they wanted to split a load financially. They told them no. So a year later, the game department raised money from sportsmen, $100 a donation, and they went and bought some of those elk. And they put them out at Sac Peak, Viking Lake, Sunspot, all that high country right there. In this agreement, when they did this, it was agreed that there would be no elk north of Highway 82.
Did they tell the elk?
Ma'am?
Because I'm thinking they didn't tell the elk that.
No, wait, no.
Because they're all over my place.
These aren't our elk. Our elk were let loose right here. These are Indian elk. Come on, Indian elk. So the game department hadn't done nothing wrong. They have kept their word. There would be none of their elk on the north side of 82. And all the elk we got now, north of 82, come off the Indian reservation. And it's this little things like this that people don't know. But that's the way it was. Charles Walker can tell you the whole much. He was one of the original signers on this. The ranchers had to sign off on it too. So there's a lot of if you do some research, there's a lot of information out there about how this all has come about and where be addressed, sure, but the hunters can't do it, the ranchers can't do it by themselves, we all have to get together and do it. That's, and I know it works.
Okay, so do we still want to send the letter? Do we need to add anything to the letter?
I would like to add a committee that we would like to work with them to do this phase just like we had before.
We can propose that and highlight why we believe it's a good idea. I believe it was probably replaced by this 4-year planning process that they have in place now, which I don't think 4 years is a long time and isn't really adequate for giving this the attention that it needs. But that's in the statute right now what they have. So they'll probably default on that, but it doesn't hurt to propose it and explain why we think it's a good idea.
Can we just add it to what we have right here?
We can. You can vote on the letter today and just in the motion say with the addition of a proposal to that a committee be formed.
What was it
of
called, a
interested
disposition? Is that what-
interested stakeholders.
Depredation?
Bought the wire, closed, gave it to the rancher, and the rancher had to provide the labor to install it and all. And it was a win-win deal, water hoses the same way, windmills, water lines, look at that. They've got hundreds of miles of pipeline that they've laid. There's water in that mountain that never had water before. It's just because of private distribution.
Okay. All right, anything else?
And then add Kelly's reference in there as well?
About the Thousand Oak, yes.
Okay.
All right. I make a motion for the approval to send a letter to the New Mexico State Game and Fish regarding the elk population with the addition of the depredation committee and also regarding the, I don't know what it was called.
2004 EIS report.
2004, for the 2,000 elk. I mean, the 1,000 elk. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to number 17. Request approval to schedule and advertise a public hearing to satisfy state statute NMSA 1978 7-2-14.3, ordinance number 23-01, low income tax rebate. Do you want to speak to that, Pamela? You probably know more than we do.
Commissioner, state statute requires that you consider this every odd year. In my years at the county for 16, we have never done this, but this is totally up to you.
So we don't have any kind of statute or anything that's in place now? Or,
We don't have an ordinance in place for this now.
is this not part of yours at all then?
The treasurer could provide the best advice or input on this, but it would apply to a very small amount of taxpayers because the threshold for qualifying for it is making income of less than $24,000 a year. So the amount of people that own property that are making that amount is fairly small.
The statute says that if you make under 8,000, you get 75% of your property tax rebate. And it breaks it down. And then there's another example is 16,000, 55% of the rebate, and 24,000 is 35% of the rebate, just in case you guys don't know. And if we've never done this before, I'm glad. I don't want to do it now. And the statute does say it's optional.
Right, anything else? on that?
Well, if is there a committee or a group, or we have to get a different, I mean?
No, the only
Because
thing
it-
required is that you hold a public hearing like you would with any ordinance, get public input and vote on it.
So if we're voting against it today, we still have to hold a public hearing?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you can vote against it and not hold a public hearing.
Okay. All right, anything else? Nope. Okay. All right, I make a motion for approval to schedule and advertise a public hearing to satisfy state statute NMSA 1978 7-2-14.3, ordinance number 23-01, low income tax rebate. All in favor, say aye.
Need a second first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting my seconds.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay?
Nay.
All right. Did you say nay also? Okay. All right. Number 18, request approval of a request by 100% Otero to fund the Point in Time County in the amount of $1,350.
And Commissioners, I have Peg Krim here today to explain this to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Peg Krim, one of the co-founders of 100% Otero, along with Lisa Yale, who's in the audience. And 100% Otero is local grassroots nonprofit, and our mission is to eliminate childhood trauma so that all 100% of our residents have the opportunity to grow up in a safe and healthy environment where they can become responsible and productive adults. And it occurred to me as I was sitting here listening to all the conversations today, so many of the things that you're dealing with, you know, some of the stuff with the sheriff's department, with the detention center, with the healthcare assistance stuff, with the next topic that you're going to talk about, the mobile crisis response team. A lot of that is influenced by the trauma that people experienced when they were children. And so we are trying to prevent that trauma so that people will grow up and we will have less of those problems in our community. So how do we do that? 100% Otero, we are working to ensure that all families have access to the assistance that they need in the 10 vital services to be successful. The 10 vital services are food, housing, medical and dental care, behavioral health care, transportation, parent supports, early childhood learning, community schools, youth mentoring, and job training. So like Pastor Torres, I could sit here and talk for hours about all of that, but I'm here today to talk about one thing, and that's housing, and to ask for money for that. So we all know that we do have issues with individuals that are homeless in our community. We see them when we're out and about, but we don't know a lot about them. You know, how many are there? How old are they? How'd they end up homeless? What do they need help with to get out of homelessness? Are they local people? Are they transients coming through? All sorts of things. And we can't solve the problem if we don't know what the problem is. So the other thing is that HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, mandates that individuals experiencing homelessness are to be counted every year. So the other thing is, as we come up with interventions to try to reduce homelessness, we won't know if they're successful if we don't have the data from how many homeless we had before till after, or if it changed anything. So this is just like a census we do for all people. Ooh, I'm not used to speaking in front of a microphone, of course. You know, just like we do the census to find out how many people we have in our community, and that allows us to get support and funding and things, it's the same with this homeless situation. There are grants and foundations out there available, there is federal money available, but we need to have the data of how many homeless we have. So how do we do that? There's what's called the PIT count, or point in time, and it's done every year all across the country. The date that it is based on is where you sleep the night of Monday, January 30th. We then have the rest of that week afterwards to talk to people and ask them, where did you sleep on Monday night? You know, if you slept in a house that was safe, and you know, whether it's on the floor or on a couch, but you were in a safe place in a building that was built for human habitation, okay, you are not considered homeless. However, if you slept in your car, if you slept in a tent and you were not purposely camping, If you were in an abandoned building or a building that doesn't have windows and doors or heat or water or whatever, you would be considered homeless, and then there's additional questions we would ask. We have estimated, so 100% Otero, 2 years ago, Pastor Mike Degner did the first pit count that we know of in Otero County when he had Hope Community Center going. Last year, 100% Otero did it again, and now here in 2023, we're doing it again. But we want to do a more thorough job. We want to be more coordinated and hopefully get better information and keep continuing to learn from the past what we did and keep doing a better job, and we'll be doing this future years so that we can follow the trends and see what's happening with our homeless population. We've estimated that it'll cost about $2,700. We did ask the city for half of that, which they did give us, and we are requesting the other half from the county, since we will be working in areas all around the county. And we will use that money for a coordinator, some administrative assistance, printing, outreach, all sorts of things, and then we will bring to you afterwards a report of what did we learn this year. You know, what is the data? How many people? Where are they? You know, where are they from? Whatever. So that is our deliverable to you, would be a report. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer.
The only question I have, I'm all for it. I support you 100%. I talked with Pamela a little bit on this, and Julianne had a plan where to come with the money out of the budget. Poor Amber standing there, but I heard it was coming out of her funds. So.
News to her.
So where can we come?
I mean, I did speak with Amber about it. We didn't come up with anything definitive. Her budget doesn't necessarily support housing per se. So this would be something that would normally, any type of additional expenses that we incur during the year, whether it's for project overruns or you know, requests for services or something like that from different organizations. It usually comes out of our 1/4% hold harmless. That's usually where that comes from. We do have the funding to be able to do that, so it's up to the board as to whether or not you wish to support this.
What other organizations are you working with in the community that are already collecting this data?
That I know of, there are not other ones collecting data, but we do work with all the service providers in our community. You guys, go, yeah. The MCRT, we work with Love Inc., you know, with Susan Payne was here earlier. We work with the counseling center. We work with the hospital. We work with pretty much everybody.
So Runner's Refuge just took over 601 Delaware, which is an umbrella of the Mountain Church. And so if you give me the information for the bid, we can have them fill them out. We're having about 4 to 5 men a night stay there. And so the shelter is open, and so we're working on a lot of things too, because we just don't want to put a Band-Aid. We want to help them get where they need to go.
Absolutely.
And so if you can give me the application of the pit, I can have the guys fill it out, and we'll get more accurate for your
We'll talk to you before we leave here today.
Right. So my only concern is that there are other organizations that are collecting this information, because we need to have it for the grant submittals too. So I completely support what you're doing. I don't want you to take this wrong, but I don't want to throw money in every single direction and then we not have anything that's absolutely successful.
Can you tell me who else is collecting this information? Because I don't know.
It's the CJCC committee. I just had a meeting yesterday. Yes, you're the perfect person.
So I'll speak on that because this also falls underneath Judge Schneider's, all of her, the stuff that she's doing, which falls under what you were talking about earlier, the Stepping Up Initiative.
Yes.
Judge Schneider is part of our committee, so this is, we are joined with them to do this. So it's not only, Peg was mentioning some of us in the audience, but we've been having meetings on this for several months. And the community stakeholders also include the hospital, include, the police department, many people, anybody, if you go out to Walmart, we already have plans to, and Nadia Sykes is one of the people who's also heading up that
part of the housing committee, but we already have places set for that on collecting this data. The housing commission out of Portales is also gave us money to assist with getting people some services during that week. So it's a very, very large collaboration in the community. We need to reach out more. We have also talked within Rosa, and then reached out to Cloudcroft as well to find out if there's places. There is also a place that they will be collecting data out of Cloudcroft. So it's a very large countywide collaboration.
And that I know of, there's no one else who is collecting the PIT data that goes to HUD.
Right.
Now, if they're collecting data, they might be doing it for something else.
Well, the data is the data. We can use it where we need to use it, right?
Well, we have, we have to follow the rules for it to be statistically valid and whatever. So we have to do it that month, that week of the last week of January and stuff. But, I mean, we're glad to work with anyone who's doing it. We're more than happy.
Do you have those numbers you've collected over the past 2 years to show the trend that you have right now?
We do have numbers. They are not at all consistent and do not show, for just those 2 years, do not show a trend. And we don't know exactly why they are so disparate. Part of it, I think, is because, the first year the Hope Community Center was open, the second year it was not. There's things like that. So we need longer term to see any useful trends. But yes, we can give you those figures.
So if you don't get the funding for this, what would you do?
Well, we're going to make it happen as best we can. It'll be better if we have funding. And it'll be more accurate, and hopefully, we will build on it over the years and get to where we really have good information.
I just want to include you in what we have going on rather
Absolutely.
than keeping you separate from it.
No, we're all about that. We're all about being included and including others. So thank you.
Do you have a question?
I just wanted to contribute, Commissioner Barella, to what you were asking and what Jeanette was just saying. I just want to clarify what Chief Judge Schneider is doing with the CJCC is already in collaboration with 100% Otero. So these agencies aren't working separately from each other. They're actually already working together. And 100% Otero is heading this initiative, but there's a lot of branches that are supporting it. So Chief Judge Schneider's data, sort of organization is actually under what 100% Otero is doing and Jeanette's team there. So everybody's already working together, and I just wanted to be sure that the commission understood that.
So the data that they collect is usable for this committee or is not usable?
No, it is usable for this committee. In fact, the data that we gathered 2 years ago went into my grant. Anything that I apply for, as for the mobile crisis team or anything to do with mental health, I pull that same data. So we're using, the tool is the tool that you have to use. It's called the BI SPDAT. It's what everybody across the United States uses to collect this data. And what's significant about this data, using this specific tool, being part of this PIT count, is that it will allow us as a community to apply for any other federal programs, statewide programs, because right now, as a community, we have applied for these grants for federal programs for many years now, just in different grassroots organizations, but because we don't have this data, we have been excluded. So it's pertinent for us to be able to go forward as a community to make our communities better, to get the services we need here.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
I think that, this is part of my notes for this stepping up right here, and this was number one on top, is collecting this data, and I just want to make sure that this data is usable for these grants, to share it, and...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion for the approval of a request of 100% Otero to fund the point-in-time count in the amount of $1,350.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, passes. You're welcome. Okay, number 19. We're going to have a presentation of Mobile Crisis Response Report, January 2023.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amber Mayhall, Healthcare Services Director.
Good morning.
So as you know, well, as the two of you know, maybe, in September, this commission did vote on allowing this department to fund the city's mobile crisis response team and to allow it to expand into the county. Because at that time, their only allowable jurisdiction was within city limits. And of course, we know that our county residents in Tularosa and everywhere else, Cloudcroft, as well as Chaparral, also really need these services. So we contracted, and we are paying we're paying $150,000 annually for every single person to have access to this service. So per the contract, the team is required to provide me a monthly report of the amount of services that they provide and some of the details. The attached report that's provided to you is exactly what I've been asking of Jeanette and her team for what the services are that they are providing. Also, according to the contract, you are allowed to also request additional information to be in my report. So the report that's attached is exactly what I'm asking, and then also you are able to add additional information that you would want to be provided in these reports. The other thing, though, that I did not put in the contract is that I would be providing these reports monthly to the commission. These do not require certification by you because they are the fiscal agent. We've paid them the $150 and they provide this report. So it doesn't require certification or a vote, it's information only. But we want to make sure that you're getting the information that you want. But I do want to know how often you want to receive these reports. Do you want to receive them monthly, quarterly, or do you want to receive this information annually at the end of each contract term? And I think that's it.
I would say either monthly or quarterly.
Either or. When I first started looking at them, I was a little confused on them because a lot of them had so many zeros, and then I went back and started all over again and looked at them again, and I could see where, when you get down a little bit through the different, for Alamogordo, the follow-up, the responses, that's where you start getting into your numbers of so either way, whichever is going to be the best, it would be nice to be able to review these.
Yes.
Whether it's quarterly, I feel personally quarterly will be fine,
Quarterly would be good.
but it's whatever the other two, I'm on board with whatever they
Be good with
would
quarterly.
like.
Okay, all right, quarterly sounds good.
Quarterly,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then also, do you have any questions or anything about the data? I did request Jeanette and her team to be here so you guys could meet them. Did you bring your peoples as well, just to introduce them? So you guys are already familiar with Jeanette, and she can introduce her team.
Jeanette Aruda, I'm the clinician for the Mobile Crisis Response Team. And so that means I'm an independently licensed social worker and therapist. And with me, I have...
My name is Tracy Rivera, I'm a certified peer support specialist.
Hi, I'm Gabriela Martinez. I am a peer support specialist as well. We'll be certified at the end of this month. And we do have our first stakeholder meeting tomorrow morning. It is open to the public at 9 o'clock. This being the first quarter that we were up and running in the county, we have had some interactions with some county folks. But tomorrow morning, we're going to start to dig through the weeds more a little bit and finalize how it's going to work more with the rest of the county, with the Sheriff's Department, with Sheriff Black. We have some stuff on the agenda for that tomorrow. And then additionally, because our county is so geographically large, right now I'm on call 24 hours a day and I need help doing that. So I am seeking out applications for a second clinician. That does take some time. And I've also reached out to schools of social work and counseling at different universities, things like that. So that's we're working on building up our team so that we can cover the area, and that's where we're at right now.
I do have a question. Are we allowed to assist? They do have a job posting. Are we allowed to assist in advertising that? I'm not sure how that works.
Like on our Facebook page, or what do you mean?
Yes? Like, however we advertise positions, are we allowed to
Well-
assist with that? Just so, because it
Well,
would be part
if
of our
we pay
contract.
for it, no, not paid.
Okay.
Not for paid advertising, that would be an anti-donation issue.
Right.
But to post on our Facebook page, to get it out there, oh yeah, we can. Just
Okay.
send me the information.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And also the Center of Commerce
Yeah.
posts job openings and stuff, if you contacted them, and
Yeah.
that's free.
I think we have to actually advertise outside of Otero County,
Oh,
because,
okay.
yeah, we don't have the wealth of that knowledge here. We don't educate those people here locally, so they're not here.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and just another thing, this particular report, this layout, it will eventually change. We are in discussions with our current contracted database system, and that's Indigent Healthcare Solutions, to actually do some upgrades. We will have to pay for them, but that will allow more data, more details, to allow for Jeanette's team as well as this department to communicate a little better. And then also, as we continue to improve this program, will allow her to make referrals so that we can get these individuals in with our contracted providers. So, so we are making improvements, and it's going to be slow, but we are in talks with that. It may take another year because we do have to work with people who have to develop and reprogram their database, or at least are requesting it. But at the moment, from my research, and I think also from Jeanette's research, there really isn't a technological solution that would meet our needs. So we have to request it specially developed. So, but one of my the biggest things that I want to do is to start gathering what exactly are the needs in the community, and what exactly are causing a lot of these situations that require law enforcement and end up having people experiencing moments of crisis, so that we can get them the help that they need and not in our jails. I know that we are lacking staffing. It's a huge topic of conversation, but also to kind of prevent the crowding issue as well. Not that that's been a discussion, but I would like to see people not in jail, but productive, and I'm sure you guys would too as well. So, any other questions?
I'm just gonna add one more thing. We are one of 4 mobile crisis teams that are up and running in New Mexico. And we were actually the third to get up and running, and the only rural. So other rural communities are looking to us as the model to how to do this.
That's awesome. That's great.
So Amber, kind of look into your crystal ball, you know, budget season's coming up. If you're gonna, something that's gonna hit on this at the end of the year, be thinking about it, at least if we can try to get in whatever we gotta do. If it's gonna be something that needs to go through budget.
Are you offering me more money, sir?
No, I'm just telling you, look into your crystal ball.
Because I'll take it.
Sparkle in her eye.
I'm not telling you that, I'm just saying, don't surprise us.
You're implying. I will provide as much information as I possibly can so that you can make the wisest decision for this community with the most amount of knowledge. But yeah, so in looking in that crystal ball, it's still a little hazy because we are so early on to this program, but hopefully in at least at the end of this contract year and middle of next, we'll have a much clearer picture in our crystal ball of what the actual needs are. But I'm not gonna lie, it might include more money.
Everything does.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I think that's all I've got. Anything else, Commissioner?
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you, Amber. Okay, number 20, discuss and consider reorganization of the board for 2023. Do you need to speak to this at all?
Commissioners, every January, the board decides and whether they want to reorganize, change the chair, the vice chair, the member. This is your time to do so in January.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you my 2 cents. That's about all they're worth. But I would like to nominate Vicki to run again. She's done a fantastic job. One of the main reasons I'm kind of leaning toward Vicky is she is in pretty deep with the Forest Service meetings that they've had with the other counties also. And she has been pretty deep in the deal with on the courthouse. So to get another person thrown in there and then to get caught up to date would be quite a bit, because there's quite a bit going on. That's just my 2 cents, or whatever it's worth.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that, and I would be happy to run again for chair.
And we're talking about the chair between the three of us.
Vice chair member.
Okay. And yes, I think Vicky is fine for the job. But I do think, although we have nobody but angels here today, fortunately, I don't predict that for every single meeting. And I just ask that we really bring order to the meetings. And,
Agreed.
you know, I love today's meeting, how we openly discussed and all of that, but there are times where we can't have that, and I think if we just have simple call on you, acknowledge you, then you can speak, instead of just shouting through the room. Just bring order and respect to the meetings, and stay with it. It's hard not to stick with it when we have a really good crowd, but we have to remain consistent when we do it.
Agreed. Okay, so do we need, I guess, to vote on this, or?
Vote on all 3
Okay.
positions.
Okay, well, I would like to nominate Gerald again for vice chair, so that if I can't run the meeting, he's been good to do that for me. He's got a little more experience, and he's got 4 years to do this, so.
Sure, I would be more than happy to.
Okay. All right. So, do you have any more discussion? Nothing? Okay, all right. Well, then I make a motion to have myself remain as chair, Gerald as vice chair, and then Amy as member. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, we're done.
All right.
All right, except for now we've got our commission discussion. All right, Commissioner Matherly, what have you been up to?
This December has been a little slow for me. I still trying to do stuff over the phone. I had a little setback on my foot, so I haven't been able to get out as much as I would like. I've been working with some people in Bowles Acres again on the flooding issues, the trash issues, the code issues on the roads and stuff. The 3 of us met with the judges and some legislatives last week. Worked out really well, I think. December 15th, I did the capital outlay report to the legislature. We got that turned in. Yesterday, I got an email from MTC down at the prison. They were inviting me to come to the prison January 31st for a tour, and then they also have a blood drive. She opened the invitation to anybody at the county that is interested. So I was going to try to get a list, whoever on January 31st. If RB, I thought maybe, have you been through there? I thought maybe it might be interesting to you. I mean, to see what some of our county investments is. So y'all think about it, let me know, give me a list, and I'll get it back to her
And
down
it's
there.
January 31st?
Yes, I asked her for a time on what all this was gonna, she hadn't got that to me yet, but, on the blood drive they have, you can donate or you don't have to, that's strictly up to you. So, but I've been through a couple of the tours through the prison down there, very interesting.
It is.
You're gonna see the amount of one-on-one with the warden knowing so many people's names or on first name basis that they have a very good relationship.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
No, I'd like to go, please.
It's good. You can do it,
Please,
yeah.
please let me know.
So if January 31st, just get me a list and I'll get it to them and we'll go through that.
Okay.
Put me on it.
Okay. I didn't know if the staff wanted to go. Okay. But anyway, they said it was open to John Paul's. They said whoever. It's
Okay.
not just county employees, so
Okay.
county and families, so whatever, just somebody get me a list and we'll go from there. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I've been taking all my county commissioner classes, ethics classes, and all of that, and learning a little bit, and trying to obtain my certifications for that. Learning a lot. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for representing the constituents of the county, and want to make sure that I have an open door policy. Call me, email me anytime. I will be having morning business hours, like weekly, for now, and see kind of how it goes if people want to come and see me. As soon as I get my office set up, I was thinking Wednesday mornings from like 9 to noon initially, and then expand from there as needed. I answer my phone 24 hours a day. I don't want you calling me about midnight about your potholes, but I do answer my phone, and I'm willing to go out and travel and see whatever you need me to see, whatever you need help with. I can't solve everything, but I can address everything. Something to be concerning that we need to watch for is House Bill 45. If you have not looked at that, that is another 30 by 30 land grab. And basically, what it's going to come down to is allows the state to purchase land without restrictions of eminent domain and any other established laws is how it's worded. So this is something to be scared about, and we could follow this and advocate for people to help make phone calls and emails against this.
Yeah, not going to be good.
That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I wanted to say something. I should have said this earlier in the meeting, but I did want to recognize this last Monday was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and so I just wanted to read this couple of paragraphs. Law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that puts their life on the line every day for their communities. They've answered a call to public service that is demanding and often unappreciated. From local, state, and federal, their duties command dedication. The jobs are often thankless and take them away from their families for long hours. Rarely do they know what their days have in store for them. Often law enforcement are the only paid emergency resource a community has. More often they work in coordination with other local, state, and federal organizations to make communities safer. So I just wanted to say that we appreciate you guys so much, and what you do for all of us. Okay, so since our last meeting, I attended the meeting with the Emergency Service Director, Matt Clark, regarding some possible insurance cancellations in the mountain area due to the threat of the wildfires. And this is going to be a big issue when this comes to pass, and it looks like it may happen. I also attended the Otero County Extension Agency Advisory Board meeting to discuss ways of getting information out in the community regarding their services, which they have many. They'll teach you how to can, bake, sew. They've got a wide variety of things they offer, and they're all free. I attended the Coalition of Arizona and New Mexico Counties meeting in Albuquerque. They've got it's a lot of the same issues we're having with the ranchers and the grazing rights being taken away, so it's a good group to be involved in. I also attended the New Mexico Cattle Growers Convention in Albuquerque. I attended the audit exit interview for the county with Julianne and Pamela. We were there for that. And then like Commissioner Matherly said, and also Commissioner Varela, we were all at the judges' legislative luncheon over at the courthouse, and that was nice. We got to discuss the courthouse issues with Senator Griggs, Senator Burt, Jim Townsend, Judge Schneider, Judge Jessen, Judge Suggs, and Judge Bryant were all there. It was a very informative luncheon. And then I think along with both of the other commissioners, we all attended the 44th Annual Legislative Prayer Breakfast, which was very well attended and very nice. And then yesterday, Commissioner Varela and I were both at the library for their rebranding, which is pretty cool. And just to mention a couple of funerals that just recently happened, Ken Grady, who was a local businessman that contributed a lot to Otero County and worked for years as a coach and a sponsor of the Little League baseball and girls softball teams. So he contributed a lot. He'll be missed. And then on a personal note, my aunt, Janie Hooper, who's lived between here and Thule for most of her life, she passed. So that's not good news. And I do want to mention one more thing, and then I'll be finished. I had emailed Travis Mosley about the Three Rivers fire, and he did respond back. So when I call the force out when they don't respond, but I want to say when they do. It's okay. And he says, Dear Commissioner Marquardt, as a follow-up to your inquiry during the last Otero County Board of Commissioners meeting, yesterday I spoke with the regional special agent in charge concerning the status of the Three Rivers fire investigation. He informed me that the status of investigation is still open, and he could not provide any details of the investigation to you or I. I shared our mutual desire to have some closure on this matter, but he assured me that there is a very good reason for this case to remain open and to not jeopardize the investigative process by releasing information prematurely. While this lack of news is not very satisfying, it is the state of the situation. Thank you for your interest, patience, and understanding in the matter. So he did respond to me on that, so I appreciate at least having some communication on that. So with that, that's all I have. And you had, Ms. Pamela?
Commissioners, it's typically very slow between Thanksgiving and the New Year. Things are starting to pick up this week. The calendars are getting full again. I wanted to let you know, 1 or 2 meetings ago, we had discussed the weed transfer station issue with the horses getting into the dumpsters and spreading the trash. Tom and Ralph went up there to take a look and throw out some ideas. They met with Spike Goss, who offered some property to move it. We do have some things to consider. A grant of $210,000 built the current location. If we were to move the location, we would have to consider those costs and remediating the current site because of the tire bales underground. So we have our consultant working on that, who worked with us when we got the initial grant. So we're looking at what our options are, even installing cameras on the fire station so Ralph can check every morning to see if they're getting full and send a driver up. So we're looking at various options, and we're looking at costs, so we can bring it back to you and decide what is the best route to go. So that'll be coming hopefully next month, if not the one after. And the only other thing, because of COVID, everything's virtual. And I prefer a personal meeting, and I'm happy to say that the Southeastern New Mexico Economic Development District Council of Governments meetings that are quarterly, that I'm a board member of, are in person again starting tomorrow. So we will be in Roswell attending that. So we're excited to be with other county managers, commissioners, city managers again, and partake in that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Was a slow month. Spent a lot of it working on contracts and agreements and reviewing RFPs. But one meeting of note that I did have with Matt Clark and some of the code enforcement personnel, we met with the magistrate judges to discuss with them code enforcement issues and procedures. When we confirmed that the code enforcement officers can issue citations, and I spoke with the Sheriff's Department to confirm that they can use the same citation sheets, and so they're getting citation sheets from the Sheriff's Department so they can begin issuing citations. Probably the first one we'll do is Rose Street, unless they completely clean up the situation by the 15th. They were given 30 days notice on December 15th, so if they don't have that cleaned up by the 15th, then we'll issue either a citation or a summons and start the court process.
Is that on Rose Street?
Rose Street. I need to look into the First Street situation that you spoke of today, but if that vehicle's in the roadway, I believe the Sheriff's Department can tow it and impound it. We'll just have to see what information we can get on it, if it's abandoned or what exactly the situation is with that. We'll be attending conference next week. One of the classes that the attorney affiliate will be attending is on code enforcement. So we'll see what best practices we can gain and experience from what other counties are doing, how they're managing it.
Okay, I will get these, I will forward you these pictures to you and Jacob, and then Well, and I'll show them to you right now, but you're gonna be amazed at this, so. This is starting to go on all over in Bowles Acres, so we gotta get a stop to it somehow. So. One question I had for you, any update on the side-by-side rules? I know you shared a little letter with me from them. I was just gonna let you hit on that real quick, just to update on, probably
Where
not
that's
really
at.
much going on, but they have received it, and
Yeah, I spoke to the District 2 manager for New Mexico DOT, and they received our request and asked for a timeline and kind of what the process was going to be. And they stated to us that the mileage request that we had requested was the largest that they've ever received. So that increases the timeline for all of the boxes they have to check before they present it to the state commission. But they anticipate that process being completed sometime in March. It is I guess it is a big request, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think we have reasonable grounds to be requesting that those be approved for OHV use. I don't see why they wouldn't approve it, but we'll see what they come back with and move from there.
okay.
All right. Anyone have anything else? Oh,
I don't know if Commissioner Manley got my text a while ago. During the meeting, we were talking about First Street. One of my sergeants was watching. They've already gone to First Street. I was told that vehicle will be moved from the neighborhood.
Oh,
yay,
okay.
good.
Cool.
That's good news.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone anything else? All right. With that, we are adjourned.